Hi, I'm Meryl Key, and this is my mystery school. This is the Heart of Tarot series where we go through the entire tarot deck from start to finish with everything you need to know about tarot. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any uploads. And if you want to support my channel, a like, share, comment goes down really well. Thank you. Hi and welcome to the Heart of Tarot. Here we are continuing with the Minor Arcana. The tarot is broken up into sections with 4 elements and 5 suits. One suit being the Major Arcana, which are the picture cards that give us the main story, the main protagonist, and the Minor Arcana, broken up into 4 suits. In this section, we're going to be looking at the suit of Swords, the air element. So get your journals ready, get your cards ready, and we'll get stuck into the suit of Swords. Swords represent air, the mind, the intellect, thoughts, problem solving, conflict, test and trials, logic, ideas, action. They represent attitudes and beliefs that bring change, where we battle, where we force, where we oppress. Swords are about power and ambition, the dynamic balance between spirit, which is the wands, and feelings, which are the cups. The Ace of Swords is the sword of truth. It's cold, it's clear, and it's logical. And it's very, very resolved and determined. When you get an Ace of Swords up in a reading, again, it is a yes card. It means, yes, the sword of truth is coming down. It wipes away the emotion, it wipes away your fantasies and feelings, and it just comes down with action. It's a card of victory and triumph. It's a card of truth, and it's a card of confidence to really be able to slice ahead and find your way. It gives direction. Swords represent the breath of life. And air is about saying it, communicating it, and then putting it into action. Air moves, it gives us space. And so the sword of truth is able to detach and find the path forward. It gives you the impetus and all the ingredients you need to take action and be very decisive with it. The Ace of Swords is a great card if you're looking for confusion to end or the answer to your question. When this one comes in, it bypasses your personal feelings and just delivers the truth. It's always a yes card, but if your question was about relationships, does he love me? Then this card says yes, but I'd much rather have an Ace of Cups giving me that yes than this one for a relationship question. So if your question was, does he love me, and you get this, it may be that this person is very, very clear that they love you. But, you know, do they actually connect with you? Are they really compatible? Is it just an idea that they love of you? That's what comes up with the Ace of Swords when you're looking for a yes. The Two of Swords is the impasse card. It's the card where you have to make a decision, but you're blocked from being able to do that. It's the horns of a dilemma. A single idea, when it comes up with another opinion or another facet, becomes a conflict. And the Two of Swords is it's blocked. Her heart is blocked. She's not able to look, and she's not able to assess the way forward. That clarity that came up in the Ace is now divided. Let's have a deeper look at the Two of Swords. The blindfold that we see here, it comes up again in the Eight of Swords. And in the Nine of Wands, we see it's shifted to the top of his head. But for right now, this person is refusing to see what's there. The water in the background has got little ripples and double lines here. She's not able to access it. She's not able to access the emotions. There's tension between feelings and thinking, the head and the heart. There's a stalemate and indecision with this. She's frozen to the spot and prefers for the time being to hold two incredibly heavy swords up in the air rather than take the blindfold off and look and see what the emotions are saying. This card is about inner conflict. And when you have inner conflict, you are frozen to the spot, unable to decide. But a decision is necessary with this card. The other thing we see here is the moon, like a claw in the sky. The new moon is supposed to represent new beginnings, but this one feels like it's attacking and pecking and criticizing. The Three of Swords is the heartbreak card. Swords, which are intellect, mentality, reasoning, doesn't go well with wanting to expand. It can start to get a bit rigid. And this card is very cartoon-like in this Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I also call it the PMS card. It's about tears and tantrums and painful feelings, and they do blow over. 3 is a triangle, and air doesn't really like that triangular shape. It always wants to push against it. So the heartbreak card, the tears and tantrums card, the card of loss, and the card of betrayal. As I said, I sometimes call this the PMS card because of all the flurry that comes up and then seems to blow away. But this card can also mean separation, and not necessarily a breakup, but just the pain and yearning of only being able to make a mental connection with someone. It can also mean heart problems, blood issues, even a heart attack if it's surrounded by cards that show ill health or a sudden change in blood pressure. 3 is the number that wants to expand. But these swords are all piercing, cutting, criticizing. This card in the whole deck is very unique to me by its illustration. And it just adding to that sense of drama and theatrics. It looks like a cartoon of a bad tattoo. What can I say? The heartbreak card. The 4 of Swords is the meditation card. After we've gone through a conflict of too many ideas coming in, what we need to do is rest and get cohesive order. 4 is a number of stability. And when we need stability with our mind, we need to pull out and withdraw. And that's what this 4 is doing. Getting his thoughts in order, stepping out, taking a break to evaluate and reassess. Now it is the 4 of Swords, but 3 of them are most prominent, hanging over his head. Now, this figure on top of a cask, or perhaps someone actually sleeping and meditating, if he sits up too quick, he's going to get a knock on the head. The one that he's resting on is lying horizontal beneath, and the crypt is open, although we can't see what's going on inside. This card is a time-out card. Time to go back in your corner and lick your wounds. Time to step back, to be passive about it, to get solitude and rest. Because swords are a mental aspect, I would also be looking at this as mental health, or time that someone spent in an institution or in some place where things are organised for them so that they can get mental rest. We could also look at this as a therapist couch with the path to spirituality and reconnection up above. The timing I use with this card is 3 to 4 weeks, knowing that around the end of the 3rd week, there may be some news or a change of heart, information coming through or test results coming through in that 4th week. The 5 of Swords is a really tough card. I call it the Scorpio card. It's the win at all cost card. 5 is that number of change and challenge and conflict. And when swords are in conflict, they can be very piercing, very cutting. Verbal abuse comes up with this card. No one wins, although this card is about winning at all costs. It's an abuse of power. And if you have a strong intellect, you can use that intellect to really hurt and harm others and manipulate. This is where facts get manipulated, again, where there may be gaslighting, where someone's using an intellectual cutting to sever from truth and progress. This is a very difficult card and very unlucky if it comes up in a reading. Now, there's not much nice about this card. Everybody loses. These people are left hurt and distraught. And this one, although he's collecting all the swords, is in the middle of this raging weather. The ripples in the water show that the emotions haven't been resolved. We've got the double line going down there, putting a distance between emotions and thoughts, feelings and actions. This landscape behind them reminds me of the Two of Swords. And if you do nothing, you may be allowing someone else to step in and abuse power. Everyone's dropped their weapons. Everyone's lost. Definitely a card to watch the power of words and how they're used against you or how you're using them yourself, because words can hurt. The Six of Swords is the moving on card. Again, similar to the 4, we have this idea about getting our thoughts in order and being able to move on from the rough waters into smoother, calmer waters. 6 is that number that helps you restore after the change of the 5 and find a new direction. And with this, it means re-evaluating the information you have. You may need a guide to step in and help you. The Six of Swords is actually an okay card, but the progress that happens needs to happen step by step, and let your feelings and your thoughts on the matter just sit for a bit. In this card, I've often felt that there's a death or an escape happening. One story I imagine is that this woman has had to leave or bury her husband and is left with the child and her thoughts on the matter. In psychology, the idea of a boat or a vehicle to carry you over the emotional waters is a very strong image, and the fact that there's a guide there is a really powerful calming part of this card. I also read this card as moving house, moving country, and in different times I've seen this as refugees and immigration. 6 is a reward number, so we know they're moving to a better place, a better time. If you get this card and it's still a bit of a mystery to you, you could draw a clarifier. Who is my guide? What can guide me? What support do I need to organise my thoughts and move through to calmer emotions? The 7 of Swords is one of the nastiest ones in the deck. It's the sneaking around card. It's a card of deception, of betrayal, of emotional and mental manipulation. It's a card where the truth is concealed and someone is actually trying to profit or take advantage of that. There's theft, there's perhaps bullying, there's a bit of backstabbing that happens with this card. It's not a nice card at all. This is rarely the card you want to see in a reading, the sneaking around card. And interesting that the sneaking around doesn't happen in the dead of night. It's yellow, it's daylight, it's happening before your eyes. Yellow is the colour of mentality. So this is mental deception, trickery, someone who takes credit for your work, the smiling assassin. This is potentially someone who's setting a trap. And again, it's the way the mentality is used, the way the intellect is turned and twisted so that someone's making off with the goods. You definitely have to watch your back with this card. And if for some reason this card comes up in a positive position, you can read it as a warning. But also you're going to be told to watch your back. You might have to be the one being a little bit sneaky and a little bit deceptive and not showing your full hand. If you're a particularly generous person or a very empathic person, this card can definitely be one to say, guard yourself. Don't give everything away. Hold on to what is yours. The Eight of Swords is a mental entrapment card. The card of your own mental prison. Here you can see, very similar to that Nine of Wands, there's a boundary and a protection that's come up around this person. And similar to our Two of Swords, where we have a blindfold and someone who's completely impeded, at an impasse, unable to move. With the Eight, this person has more room to move, but the trap of their own mind stops them from breaking free. The Eight of Swords is a card of restriction, of imprisonment, of self-deception. It's a card of limitation and restraint. In the Eight of Swords, we see what's happened with the blindfold from the Two of Swords. This person has made a move and their blindfold is very loose, just as these binds are. We link also to the Nine of Wands, where this boundary is, he's pushed the blindfold up and he's looking wary. Whereas this one, it's her own making. She has to close her eyes and look inward to see what this prison is. The figure has 1 foot on the land and 1 foot in the water, similar to the Temperance card and also the Star card. But here the water is spread and muddy. Her emotions are not clear. She's not able to compromise. If we look at the number 8 and take it back to the Major Arcana, on one hand we've got strength, and on the other we have the Star card. Number 17. 17 breaking down 1 plus 7 is 8. So here's our references. One is being brave and compassionate and being able to maneuver and do the dance. The other is where the compromise and the healing and the integration has happened, and she's able to be very honest. So this card, she's not feeling brave and she's not feeling honest, and she's hemmed in by her own thoughts. The Nine of Swords is the Nightmare card. It's the waking up in the middle of the night and thinking, oh no, what have I done? It's a card of fear, of nightmares, of worry. It's a card of high anxiety. What we can see, the more swords that we have, the more mental thought that's going on, we tend to get more and more anxious. The purity of that sword of truth is now dispersed and haranguing us at night, creating that nightmare fear and that paranoia, that feeling of powerlessness. It's a card of feeling very alone and in deep regret. The Nine of Swords is unable to reach a decision, and it's really the dark night of the soul, when your thoughts become so oppressive that none of them can help you and none of them make sense. None of them are coming home and giving you grounding. The Nine of Swords is such a recognizable archetype. We've all done it at some point. Had insomnia or had that deep regret, waking up unable to sleep with it churning over in our mind. If we look at where we had a bit more introspection with the Four of Swords, this is what's hanging over his head. But now it's become a fierce trophy-like thing. All of these worries endlessly moving off, right off the edge of the border. Now, key thing with this card is none of these swords are actually piercing this person. It looks like it, but it's an illusion. The bed is a bit like the crypt that we saw in the Four. And the bed quilt is very beautiful, and it tells this story. It's got the roses and the flowers. It wants to bloom. If we compare this card to the Ace of Swords, where this is the sword of truth, and there's no denying the clarity that comes with this, the sense of victory and confidence. But here, all of that's become muddied and stressed. I also associate this card with high anxiety, with post-traumatic stress disorder, with insomnia and nightmares. It is literally waking up in the night. The Ten of Swords is a big fat no card. Look at that. It's called the More Death Than Death card. This is the card where 10 swords have been stabbed into this body, and the body needs to be buried. It needs to be let go. You need to drop the bone with this card. It says you've suffered enough. There is no more you can do. There's no more energy left in finding a new idea or trying to resolve this conflict. The best thing you can do with this Ten of Swords, this completion and culmination, is bury it and let it go. This is a no. The Ten of Swords is a very visceral, absolutely beautifully drawn card. And yet, because we know the swords are to do with thought and mentality, this is the death of the ego. The swords are all in the mind, and this is willpower that's ended up crushing you. We know also, while the head is turned, it's looking towards the dawn. There's already a new beginning happening. The small amount of blood that we saw spilling from the cups in the Five of Cups, the grief card, is now running thick and through from the body. Bury the body. If you look very closely, this little hand gesture here is one that's used by the Hierophant. And where here it's pointing up, calling in that blessing from heaven. All is defeated. There's no hope. Everything's lost. The blessing falls flat. When this one comes up, it's time to walk away, and it's actually the best thing to do. So the Ten of Swords can be incredibly freeing. Painful, but freeing. Let's have a review of the sword element. The Ace of Swords, the sword of truth. Two of Swords, the impasse. Three of Swords, the broken heart. Four of Swords, time out. Five of Swords is the win at all cost. Six is the moving on to calmer water. The sneaking around card. The imprisonment and trap of your own mind. The nightmare card. The More Death Than Death card. The Ten of Swords. We can see with our swords that the more swords we get, the more difficult and conflicted and embattled we end up being. And it's interesting when we look at the whole lot of them. Most of the colours of the backgrounds are grey, meaning confusion or neutrality. The only one that shows the yellow of the air element is the sneaking around card. An extra warning to be on high alert. So we can see as the swords have moved on, the more ideas you have, the more conflict you have, the more you're embattled, and the more your nervous system starts to respond with anxiety. The swords are a masculine quality. It's actually better when they're simple. The timing of swords is very fast. So air moves quickly. So we'd be looking at days and weeks with sword energy. Other timing you can use is when the sun is in an air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. If you'd like to draw some cards and look at a conflict spread, you could try this one, the Why Is This Happening spread. First position, what started the conflict? Second position, what made it worse? Third position, where does the conflict stand? Fourth position, how does the other person feel about it? And the fifth position, how will it end? Give it a go and see if it helps you understand how to end a conflict. I'm Meryl Key, and this is the Heart of Tarot and my Mystery School. Join us again for the final of the Minor Arcana series, where we go through the Pentacles. Thanks for continuing on in this course with me. See you in the next one.